Hi everyone, Nick here, and today we're going to be having a look back at another F1 2020 league race. This one was round 5 of season 3 of the Serious Racing League, and as you'll probably know, I'm in the Williams again, and we're at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal, Canada. Now, this is one of my favourite tracks on the game. I do like this track, and I go quite well here as well generally, but I didn't have very much practice, unfortunately. Bit of time trial on the day of the race itself. That said though, I did do a My Team race around Canada the day before that, so that kind of did help a little bit, but not in terms of driving the Williams. Very different cars, the Williams and my mid-season 2 My Team car. Very, very different. So I wasn't really sure what to make of this. Very little practice, and I was actually late joining all practice sessions as well because, well, I had other things to get on with. So coming into it a little bit on the back foot, but online practice was going okay. Didn't seem to have super amazing pace, but I didn't seem to be tragically slow either. So I was cautiously optimistic about how things might go in the race itself. So into qualifying, and my first lap was alright. We were leaving a little bit of time on the table there just to make sure we got a banker lap in. Didn't want to invalidate, didn't want to crash. I mean, obviously that was very easy to do here. We did have a little bit of a tap with the wall on the outside, the wall of champions there. Doesn't really count because I'm not a champion, but we got a 110.863, which at the time was good enough for 6th. It was decent, but we can do better than that. So this is our second qualifying lap, and we're going to stay on board for the whole thing because it ended up being my best lap. So turn 1, 4th gear, try and cut as much of that corner and get it turned in so that this one isn't too tight. 2nd gear for me. Going through this next tricky bit, you want to turn in really early. It's kind of blind, and you want to cut as much of that as possible and then run wide without, well, hitting the wall basically. This one I found recently, turn in nice and early. Didn't quite get it as early as I wanted there, but get it in nice and early so that you can then straighten up for the next bit. Otherwise you go slightly wider and touch the wall like I did there. So we're not having an amazing lap, but we have a good chicane through there. We've cut the right-hander almost perfectly, and we've gained about a 10th or so. Going through the hairpin again, always time to be made up here. We turned in nice and early, got it turned, and we got on the throttle nice and early to get up to over a quarter of a second up on our previous best. So we've got the final chicane. Hopefully not going to hit the wall again. We're going to try and nail it this time into their 4th gear. Nice and wide on the exit, but not too wide to get damaged. Stay on the right hand side for the shortest possible run, and we knocked 4 tenths off to go 110.456 and to go up into 5th place. Now you might be wondering, Nick mate, why are you not showing your final run? Because that's always the one that's fastest, the track's rubbered in and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's because I botched it up completely before it even started. As you can see, I haven't even got my hands on the wheel here, and for some reason I just completely forgot that that was a thing. And then the game just obviously thought, well Nick, you need to actually drive a game here, and just went straight into a wall. Don't have enough time to get round the track with a damaged front wing to replace it or anything like that, so that was my qualifying over. So yeah, not ideal, and that meant that in the end we couldn't improve on our time at the end, and we had to be 7th on the grid. Probably about as much as I'd been able to do really. Maybe I could have knocked a couple of tenths off, maybe, but you know, I'm not too upset with that. It will do me nicely, especially given I thought that the Williams might struggle here. Anyway, race coming up, very cloudy, no rain forecast though, which is great. And turn 1 is always very, very tricky because of the short run, the tight nature, and then having turn 2 going the other way. So we've gone up the inside into turn 1, DP's gone round the outside, absolutely fair play. We haven't really got anyone from behind that's going to cause us any problems, but then DP hits the back of Wiggins and gets a little bit of damage I think, and that causes me to be able to overtake him to go up into 7th. So we're back to where we started, and I think I was very happy with that. I'd have probably been fine with 8th really, because I just wanted to get through that corner, that turn 1 and 2, without any damage. And we're looking here thinking, well, Wiggins is in front of us. Can we try and get him quickly? He seems to be being held up by Maxi in front. But then also, we've got DP in a Red Bull. Very good car. Not very far behind. So we're wanting to be cautious, because we haven't really practiced this with any high fuel loads. But we're also wary from behind. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword here. And as you can see, we've probably been a little bit too cautious, because you can see that Wiggins is putting our way in front of us and DP is closing from behind. So again, we're going to go through the chicane, try and make sure we don't get any silliness, any mistakes, and DP has jumped us. He's going to get up the inside into the first corner, and for the second lap in a row, he's overtaken us in turn 1. But this time, he manages to hold it. So fair play. And at this point, I thought that was essentially going to be my race, going backwards, unfortunately. But the cars in front all seemed to be very close to each other, and maybe could have been a little bit more careful, picking up little bits of wing damage. And well, you can start to see they're getting a bit side by side. There's a yellow flag, someone maybe spun here, and then we get another collision between DP and Wiggins through turns 3 and 4. They go off to the left hand side, and there is a safety car that is deployed. So on the plus side, that means we're now up into 6th place, so we've actually gained a place on where we started in the race. But on the downside, we've got a bit of a conundrum here, because do we want to pit under the safety car on lap 4? Soft tyres don't go an amazing amount of distance, but the game's suggesting that I should be doing mediums and then mediums again. We've still got 31 laps of this race, so that's 15 and 16 laps on medium tyres. And I wasn't really sure whether I wanted to do that at this point. I knew that generally my tyre wear is good, so I'd probably be fine doing that. It's just I thought, I want to go a bit longer into the race. I want to use my soft tyres. And when I saw that my teammate was pitting ahead, because he was right up the front of the pack, then I thought, right, I don't want to get stacked. That helps make my decision. Let's stay out, use these soft tyres, go a little bit longer, and then see what we can do, potentially doing a slightly alternate strategy to everyone else. And this was great, because it meant that I actually got to lead the race for a little bit, and Tony behind was second, meaning it was a Williams 1-2. It's like the 1990s had never ended. But it did mean that I had to do a safety car restart, and I'm not necessarily great at those. The last safety car restart that I can remember when I was in the lead was in Spain in the previous league racing season, and I span on the last corner and completely ruined my own race. So that wasn't great. So what I wanted to do here was keep the tyres nice and warm by doing some weaving, and just let the safety car just get absolutely well clear of us. So even at this point where it's saying prepare to resume racing because the safety car's in the pits, now I'm going to leave it there, and then at some point I'm just going to go, do you know what, let's just accelerate away now, and nice and calmly into the final chicane, try and keep it as nice and smooth as possible. And I think that was a pretty good safety car restart, if I don't say so myself. So we've managed to hold our lead there and get into turn 1 without any problems. However, the car behind, Tony, he may be in a Williams, but he's pretty good around here. And he had fresh tyres, and we all knew what was about to happen. So I wasn't really going to fight this too much. I was trying to work out where he was going to go. He decided to go for the inside, so I'm like, okay, fine, mate. Off you go. I would have preferred him to be a bit more decisive about it, rather than that sort of wishy-washy kind of move, but he got the job done. I was letting him go through. The problem was it kind of slowed me down, so then it could have potentially left me at threat from Monty behind in third, but I used my rich fuel and I used my ERS to make sure that that didn't happen. So now I needed to work out when to pit, and Port retired on lap 9, which brought out the virtual safety car. Now, while I'm not going to get a free or as free a pit stop as I would under the full safety car, at this point I thought, yeah, I'm probably not going to get a better chance to try and get a cheap pit stop at the end of my soft tyre stint. And although I hadn't really pulled out a massive gap behind, I was still happy with doing this because it meant I'd have much fresher tyres than the people who stopped at the end of lap 4. However, unfortunately, literally the moment I went into the pit lane, that's when the virtual safety car ended. I could have done with that going on for another 5-10 seconds, I think. So we've already lost a couple of places. Fortunately, it's quite a short pit lane in Canada, so we're not going to lose a huge amount of time. And we are heading back out onto the track. So remember, we were second when we pitted. At this point, we're down to 16th. But we do cut turn 1, so we managed to go onto the track, remembering to hold the steering wheel this time. And we are back out on track in 13th place, just behind Rye in his Red Bull. So we've got a bit of a tyre advantage, and we've just been informed that Rye has got wing damage. Sonny, in front of him, has also got wing damage. So this was an opportunity to try and make sure that we capitalised on this as soon as possible. As you can see, Rye tries to go up the inside of Sonny. It's all a bit messy. Cars behind also getting slowed down. Wiggins touched the back of me and lost, I think, a bit of his front wing, which is unfortunate. And we come down to the hairpin. We've got red arrows on the left and right at the end on the apex right. Watched a replay of the highlights of this, and it turned out that Miles went right up my inside there. No knowledge of that at the time when I was doing that whatsoever, so apologies if I turned in a bit on you there, mate, but it was completely unintentional because I had no idea that you were actually there. So Sonny pits at the end of the lap for a new front wing. We are up into 12th place and setting off to try and catch up with Rye. So through the left hand and right hand corners there, he's had a bit of a mare. We managed to just breeze past his car, which he was sitting in for Mav. We have to breeze past him all times, and we get up the inside and up into P11. And we're now only one place off the points again. And we managed to get straight up into the points at the end of that lap because Blarg came into the pits. So we were now up to 10th again on our alternate strategy, and we could see there was a bit of a train in front of us. We had 2.7 seconds to Coulthard, but nearly 5 seconds to Jerome in front. But give it a few laps and we were right on their tail. Reason for this is that Stefano was at the front of this queue in his Renault on hard tyres doing a one-stopper. And although the hard tyres aren't the fastest, that Renault is in a straight line. So Maxi and Semi, I think, have had some contact up ahead, and Maxi's had to pit because of it. Owls tried to go up the inside of Coulthard. He's now gone wide there. We've got a good run on him. We've got a really good run on Coulthard. We go round the outside of him into turn 1, and we've managed to recover all the way back up to 6th place. That's, what, 3-4 places in a couple of corners? I love it. So we now needed to catch up with what remained of the train in front of us, and you can see that Semi, Jerome and Stefano are not too far down the road, and everyone's basically struggling to get past Stefano. He's just so fast in a straight line in that Renault that it's basically impossible, no matter how slow he might be with his old hard tyres. Semi unfortunately manages to lose the car into the left-hander there and goes left. It's very easy to do. I mean, Vettel did it in 2011, didn't he? And we're now up into 5th position. At the end of lap 21, Jerome just decided he could not be bothered following Stefano anymore and pitted, which meant we were up into 4th, and meant it was up to us to finally see if we could defeat the black and yellow rocket in front of us. So, trying to use DRS, rich fuel and overtake, and we are gaining a little bit. I'm guessing he's probably not using any of those things. But we don't really do much, so we think we'll back off and be nice and careful. But he's so slow through the chicane that we were really good thing we actually decided to be cautious. And then he has pretty much the same thing coming through the first couple of corners as well. He's very cautious through there. And I asked at the time, have your tyres died? And he was like, yes, they have. So at the end of that lap, I was basically just waiting for the opportunity. Fortunately, though, he said that he was just going to let me through anyway, rather than hold me up. He just let me go, and then he can concentrate on his own race, which is very generous of him. So we got through via DRS nicely into the end of the lap. So lap 23, just about to finish, and we're up to 2nd place again. and it's back to a Williams 1-2. Excellent. But we still did have to pit. So at the end of lap 26, I thought, we've got 9 laps left. Let's put on some soft tyres rather than the mediums that we would have been able have to do if we'd pitted at lap 4 behind the safety car, as pretty much everyone else did. And we can maybe have a little bit of fun with our soft tyres, a little bit of extra grip, and see what we can do with those. So fortunately we don't lose as many places as we have in other pit stops. We've gone down to 10th at this point. Are we going to be able to hold on that? Well, we've gone up to 9th again, but unfortunately Sonny's got the inside line and has got a little bit of a better getaway through turn 2, and he is able to hold the position. But that's not too bad. We're still in the points, and we've now got some fresh tyres. They have had a lap or two on them because of qualifying. These might actually be the ones I broke my wing on. So probably only got one very slow out lap, so that wouldn't be too bad. But we pretty much get past Sonny straight away in the Sector 2 DRS zone. No real problems there. I do wonder whether he maybe just lifted off to just let me go because he knew it was going to happen. And then at the end of lap 27, a couple of people have pitted, and that means we're back up to 7th. And we've got a few cars in front of us who we reckon we might be able to get. First of those is Blarg in his Alfa Romeo. And this is where the tyres start to come to me, because I'm able to get a really nice getaway. DRS hasn't even really been enabled or inactivated to that point, and we're already past. Rich fuel, bit of overtake, we're able to turn that off well early in advance of the corner, get it done, and then Blarg's like, I'm so embarrassed by that, I'm going to pit. Just has to be done. But we're up into 6th place. So back behind Semi and DP. And we're thinking, okay, cool, well, let's get on with this. They've both got time penalties, so I could have been very boring and sat here and just got the place on penalties, but that is very boring. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to actually get them on track. So we're thinking about something into the final chicane, but not really worth it. And we get a good exit out of the final chicane, turn everything on, go up the inside of a kink down towards turn 1 and round the outside of Semi. Little bit wide, give him a bit of room on the inside in case he needs it, and we get the inside line into turn 2, and that's job done. And we did try to catch up with DP in front, but we weren't able to in the end. I think his Red Bull was a bit too quick for us, and also the soft tyres started to go off a little bit, so I was losing time on those. But fortunately, he had 21 seconds worth of penalties, which meant that even though I was 3.1 seconds down the road, as we're, well, going down the final straight anyway, it's a little bit more now, but that's obviously less than 21, so we jumped that and went up into 4th place. And 4th place in a Williams, I think, is a decent result. Okay, we're 26 seconds off of our teammate, who's also in a Williams and has won the race. Absolute fair play on that one. But I think that's a good result. We've gone from 7th on the grid to 4th in a Williams. Worst car on the grid. I'll take it. Very happy with that. No real mistakes. No penalties. No nothing. Happy days. And in terms of championship, that means we go up into 8th place on 24 points. We are some 44 points off of Hom in the lead in his Ferrari. But, again, top 8 in a Williams. That'll do me nicely. So there we go then, that was the 5th race of the season in Canada. I was hopeful that despite driving the Williams, there would be some chances for some good races and some good results. If you'd asked me before the season and said, do you think that's going to be in Canada? I'd have said, no, definitely not. What are you talking about? There's loads of big straights and the Williams is rubbish on straights. It's got too much drag and it ain't amazingly great through corners. I will not be setting the world alight in Canada. But it turns out I did pretty well. So it goes to show that maybe sometimes I should have a bit more confidence in myself, and other times I should just basically just learn that I don't really know anything. So next track is in Mexico. I don't think we're going to do very well there, so watch me and Tony get a 1-2 somehow. Well, Tony will win anyway, he always does. In Mexico at least. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Do let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. I'm always open to suggestions for ways to make these videos a bit more exciting, a bit more interesting. So always happy for suggestions, and do all the liking and subscribing stuff. You know it makes sense if you haven't already done that. If you want to catch up with me on Twitter, Instagram, or even Discord, then the details are in the description of the video. And if you want to watch these league races live, then they're broadcast live on Twitch every Sunday and Wednesday. So why not pop on to watch a stream sometime soon? The link is on the screen now, and there's also a nice clickable one in the description if you want to use that instead. But yes, that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Until the next video, goodbye.